Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Charter Authorizer Support Initiative Charter Chat. This is our June Charter Chat. Please make sure that you are on mute when you come in. Next slide, please. So the information contained in this presentation is provided as a reference only. Charter schools and chartering authorities are encouraged to review the laws and regulations and consult with their own legal counsel regarding the application to their specific situations. So once again, we're asking you to please make sure, even though you have a couple of attorneys on this call, consult your own legal counsel. Next slide, please. So our agenda for today, we are going to have some introductions, our current updates, hot topics, which is things you can use, breakout rooms, and we'll have some Q&A. Please remember to keep yourself muted. You may put questions in the chat, and there will also be a Q&A at the end. This session is recorded. However, we are only recording in the main room. Breakout rooms are not recorded. So in our session today, we will be covering the basic information that you need to get us started for next year. So you'll have your program hot topics, you'll have some fiscal hot topics, and we will have a quick recap of the CCAP conference that happened just a week ago. Next slide, please. So I am Michelle Johnson. I am the Associate Director for the Charter Schools Department for the Santa Clara County Office of Education. I am joined by my colleagues Mifula Fairley, who's the Executive Director, and Shalu Sharma, who's a Fiscal Administrator, Matthew Doherty, and Cynthia Tapia. Even though they're technically on contract through June 30th, yesterday was their last day with our department. Next slide, please. I'm also joined by the California Charter Authorizing Professionals, or CCAP. We have Tom Hutton, who's the Executive Director, Dr. David Patterson, who's a Board President. I believe I saw Barbara Mandelbaum, who's a coordinating consultant, and Debbie Deal, Senior Fiscal Consultant. Next slide. I am also grateful that we have with us Allison Ball. She could wave her hand and say hi. She's with the CDE. Today is actually a fairly bittersweet charter chat because it is the last charter chat that is with the original CASI crew. So that's why I'm introducing all of the names at this moment, because these are the people who have been making everything possible for CASI for the last 3 years. And things are going to change a little bit after today. So, please rename yourself. Make sure that you have your name, your organization. The example is Mifula Fairley, Santa Clara COE. The reason for this is because we have authorizer breakout rooms, which will be in rooms 1 through 4. And we also have a non-authorizer for our non-authorizer partners. We'll have a breakout room for them. This simply makes it easier for us to figure out who's attending our charter chat today. Next slide, and I'm going to turn the time over to Dave and Tom.
Thank you. I get to do a quick legislative update. You can see on your screen, the first one is AB 84, School Accountability, Office of Education Inspector General, School Financial and Performance Audit, and additional information there. That bill did get out of the Assembly and is now pending consideration in the Senate. I'll have a comment there with the second major bill in a moment. The second bill is AB 640, which is Local Educational Agency Governance Training. That is pending. That did also move out of the first house and is pending hearing in Senate Education. AB 1062, a bill by Assembly Member Hoover, which was to address local control funding formula concentration grants for charters. That did not advance to the Senate. Next slide, please. SB 48, immigration enforcement and school sites prohibition on access. It was referred to, so it got out of its first house, and it's now being referred to the Assembly Education Committees on Education and the Judiciary. The next bill is SB 341, Instructional Gardens Program, reestablishment with the Department of Food and Agriculture. That bill did not move forward. SB 414, School Accountability, School Financial and Performance Audits. This is the Senate version of the bill that we talked about with AB 84. That one also moved to second house, so it's now in the Assembly, and it's been referred to the Education Committee and the Judiciary Committee. There will be a lot of conversations as AB 84 and SB 414 are discussed in their respective second houses. And so I think that will be where the most of the conversation occurs regarding changes to charter school law. SB 631, the Charter School Revolving Loan Fund, did not move forward. And then SB 719, a school accountability bill that was relating to charter schools, that also did not move forward. There will be, the legislature will be going on summer break in a little bit, and then they'll be gone for virtually a month. And then when they come back, there will be a time frame where all these bills will need to move forward in the second house, and then move towards either enactment or not by the end of August, early September. Back to you.
Nope.
I show this one as Michelle, but I also showing her muted, or maybe
Yeah, if something's happening on her end, so we can just share with you what you see on the screen, which is the ACCS had its meeting. As is often the case with them, the thing that they do an awful lot is the non-classroom based funding determinations. So that included that was on their agenda this last time, and they're not due to meet again until August. The state board itself will meet in July.
keep going, Tom.
Am I turning this over to Shalou? Who's doing fiscal today? Or well, we're getting into program and fiscal. I guess program first. So let's keep going with program. Anybody remember who's doing this part?
This is assigned to Michelle, but I've got notes up if you want me to take it.
Oh, she's back.
Michelle's back. Michelle's
Right on
back.
cue.
Guys,
Okay.
sometimes you get a phone call in the middle and you have to take that phone call. So
That
I
does happen.
apologize, everyone.
Well,
But thanks
you're right on
for
schedule.
pinch hitting, everybody.
We're
All
at
right,
hot
so
topics, all yours.
quickly,
Yeah.
The LCAP, or the Local Control Accountability Plan. Even though you've been hearing about this for the last 3 months, this is simply a reminder that LCAPs are to be completed and submitted by July 1st for the coming year. So you as an authorizer should be aware that those documents will be walking in the door. Things you probably need to pay attention to is making sure that those LCAP meetings were held, that they were board approved, that you want to find out whether or not, if you can get a copy of those minutes or a copy of that agenda to make sure that everything was approved appropriately. Because you as the authorizer do not need to approve the LCAP. You need to receive the LCAP, but the LCAP has to have been approved by the charter board. So planning for next year. When you start planning for your next year, take a look at your calendar. You can set up renewal meetings, start your organizing your annual visits for the year. But here's the thing you should also do. On July 17th, there is going to be a CASI presentation called Setting Yourself Up for Success. And it will be looking at everything you need to do for the coming year to set up your charter department. So please make sure you come to the CASI presentation on July 17th, and you'll hear more details a little bit later on. The last item is updating your annual report template. You can see more information on the resource page, but basically go back and look at your annual report from this past year. Make sure that you have all the things that you want to have in there, as well as things that you might need to update and change. So this is the time. Even someone asked me this actually a few days ago. So what is your summer going to look like? And I went, what summer? Because this is now our most busy time. It's all of that planning that we have to put in place to make sure that we're set up for the following school year. So take that time right now while you have it to figure out what things you might need to do. If charter authorizing and oversight is just one little component, use this summertime to kind of set out your plan for the following year. And there are tools and tips and resources available through CASI. And one of those resources is actually the SCCOE 2526 calendar of documents. And it's now available on our website and also as a link. So we've done at least a little bit of the work for you. Next slide, and I'll turn it over to Shalou.
Thank you, Michelle. Continuing from the last slide and staying focused on the LCAP fiscal compliance, we just want to highlight here that while LCAP has been known as the program compliance document, it is very closely connected with the budget, ensuring that the LCAP goals are driving the budget and it's not the other way around, and making sure that the program and the fiscal teams are communicating to each other, ensuring that at least from the fiscal side, the budget overview for parents matches with the charter school adopted budget, and ensuring that all components of the LCAP are submitted and posted, including the budget overview for parents, the LCAP template, and any instructions that are included with the LCAP. And also ensuring that all the required elements depending on the charter school, it could be the equity multiplier funds, or it could be the additional 15% concentration grants add-on, should be included and properly funded in the LCAP. Next, annual budget. We just want to highlight here, just like district, charter schools must complete and approve their adopted budget per the California Education Code 4760433, and it must be approved by the charter school board on or before July 1st and submitted to their authorizers. Similarly to the program planning, fiscal planning for next year, currently our fiscal team is preparing for the upcoming fiscal oversight responsibilities. You will see the sample of our charter school department calendar that includes the fiscal documents that fiscal team collect, ensuring that we are doing a due diligence as a fiscal oversight responsibilities for the charter school. Next slide, please. I think I'll be handing over to Dave or Tom to share the success. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Shalou. And I know that not everybody who's on a charter chat necessarily was there, but there's an awful lot of overlap. So I'm going to send thanks to those of you who were with us in Palm Springs, and especially to our presenters who, as always, did a fantastic job. We're pretty over the moon. It was maybe our most successful event ever. Certainly, it was the best attended yet. And each year it grows a little bit, and we're happy with that. And it was also exciting for us that a lot of folks brought teams from their offices. So maybe in the past, one person came, and this year 4 people came, and that's a trend we'd love to see. And the other thing, and Michelle remembers this, when we were in our pre-conference, that's a CASI pre-conference, and we started out asking for a show of hands of who was there for their first conference, and the sea of hands went up and the room broke into spontaneous applause, which was pretty great to see. So thanks, everybody. We kind of are hoping that maybe we'll also, as a result, be getting some more people to CASI Charter Chats, because we had a lot of promotion of CASI at the event. This year we had some significant program redesigns. We mixed up, we changed out the pre-conference a little bit. We had breakout affinity groups for topics to dive a little bit more into, so it was a little bit less of a full day of sit and get, but we were able to tell people, if you really like this is when there's a session on that topic at the main conference. So that was exciting. And we also had this was the year we rolled out deeper dives. We had feedback from past conferences saying we'd really like to roll up our sleeves and do something that's a little bit of a deeper dive. But we also thought, we often have some attrition at the very last half day. So why don't we put those things there for the Coalition of the Willing? And I think those were very well received. And I guess I'll just add, if you've done school visits and you visited a school where, hey, the kids are on task, they're learning, the teachers are smart and doing their thing, and the basics are all in place, the facility's nice, but there's that sort of intangible, a little bit harder to quantify culture where you just get the feel of the place and you're like, wow, this is something special. And I guess I would like to think that our conference has a little bit about that, because the things that people come up and talk to me about, yes, they love the sessions and everything, but when they take it upon themselves actually to come up and say, wow, this was so good, very often the first thing out of their mouth is, oh my gosh, everybody's so welcoming. I don't feel alone. I have a community here. And so that is something that we strive for both with CASI and with CCAP. So that was pretty cool. Next slide, though, because we have a few more things to celebrate. This was where we also announce our annual awards. We have 2 of them. And I don't know if Deidre or anybody from San Diego Unified is here with us, but Deidre was our recipient of our Authorizing Exemplar Award for the things that she has done as an authorizer in her shop and the accomplishments of her office. I will tell you, we call around to people to get more information, and she has a fan club in San Diego for sure, including among her charter schools. And I just have to share the super cute story. We reveal the name at the end of the introduction. And so we're reading, we're having, I think it was Indra was reading out the information about Deidre and saying, and she's done this thing where she convenes the senior kind of charter leaders once a month so that they can all talk to each other and share problems, and they really like that. And Deidre, being very humble, is sitting at the table thinking to herself, wow, somebody else does that. How cool. And so she was completely surprised by the announcement, which was super great. And then so the next slide. Our second award is not so much for your own accomplishments as an authorizer, but how you help our profession, our community as a whole, going out of your way to help others and share information and answer questions from your fellow authorizers. And this year's recipient was Amanda Goldman, who's with Sac City. Honestly, relatively new to the job, but already at the point where districts in the greater Sacramento area have been calling her and asking, hey, what do you know about this? Can you help me with this? And she's very generous with her time, notwithstanding that she has a very full plate at Sac City. So they were very appreciative, and that's why Amanda was our recipient this year. And Corey Loomis helped us with that one as another past awardee. So next slide. So here's the thing, for those of you who were there, we really, 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 I'm channeling my inner Michelle Johnson here. We really, really want your feedback, especially because we had these new features. And we got to know what worked, what didn't work. If you didn't take advantage of it, maybe what some advice might be for us as we look to next year. And we also, for those of you, we do have a section that was for the pre-conference specifically. So there's that CASI aspect of it. If you didn't go to the pre-conference, you can skip over that section and go to the main conference one. But we're also looking for your thoughts, as always, on the future schedule, the future locations. Traditionally, the feedback has been, we really want to go to Southern California, but we also are conscious, like most statewide organizations, we don't want to neglect our Northerners. So if that's changed, let us know. But even if it is, yes, we want to go south. Might there be interest in a shorter convening up north, maybe to try to reach folks who haven't been able to make it down? So that's all on the feedback, and we'd love to get some more evaluations in. Thanks for letting me take that time for that little celebration, and thanks for all of you who made it happen.
So thank you. We are now going to move into our breakout rooms. You will be moved to the assigned breakout rooms and back. If you will open the slideshow link in the chat and to take notes, each room has a new slide. So for the facilitators, please go in and make sure that you find your room. We'll keep the introductions short in the interest of time, but we're going to take about 20 minutes or so to 25 minutes to have the opportunity to talk. The breakout rooms and facilitators will have 4 authorizer rooms and 1 non-authorizer partner room. And Amy, send us to the rooms.
Opening now.
Okay, it looks like we have everybody back. So let's quickly share out. I was in room 1. So we talked about Epicenter information for new users. We talked about the PCSGP grant requirements for new charters. That grant closed last night at midnight. And then we proceeded to talk about the Highlands audit that came out. And if you've not read the Highlands audit, there is a link I'll drop the link into the chat. And we proceeded to also talk about the difference between WIOA and K-12 attendance requirements. So room 2.
Hi, in room 2, first of all, I want to say welcome to Ernie from Orange and Becky from Santa Cruz County Office of Ed. We talked about what folks learned from the CCAP conference. One of the things they learned is using AI for the oversight visits, learning about a school's EL program based on the content of their CUME files, and a little bit of talk about the pre-conference. We also talked about the fact that there is a state board meeting in July that will likely include a discussion of DOS. The agenda is going to be posted this Friday, so we'll know for sure what's on the agenda. There was a question about how to set up fiscal or funds for a dependent charter school. So how to set that up in Escape. And we also talked about setting up for next year. The folks are scheduling their document collections, holding kickoff meetings and oversight forums with their charter operators, going over things like the reason why they're collecting certain documents, what their visit expectations are, what their visit dates will be, things like that. And then one last thing that we talked about was AB 84 and where to get some more detailed information. And we shared that YMC is, Young Media Corps rather, is presenting a webinar on Friday at 10 o'clock. I don't have the information specifically, but I'm sure if you go onto their website, you can find it. And that's it for room 2, unless someone wants to add something. Okay.
All right, room 3.
All right. So in room 3, my friends and I discussed. We started talking about MOU structure and annual report templates. The interesting discussion was around a 1-year MOU versus an MOU that would be 5 years or mirror the length of the charter petition. So we kind of talked through some of those scenarios. The next thing we spent time talking about was charter LCAP reviews. And so some of my friends in the room are on both sides of the house where they're charter authorizing and LCAP reviewers. And so we kind of distinguished, the charter LCAP reviews versus approvals. I kind of shared some anecdotes from here in Fresno where our fiscal folks are participating in site visits, and it really enriches the conversations, talking about school improvement and the connection between expenditures and school improvement. So we talked about the fiscal and educational program, reviewing versus approval. We talked a little bit, didn't really get into details because I've always got a lot to talk about that, on the implications of LCAP, the LCAP and renewal, and the LCAP as a formative look at school improvement throughout the charter term towards a renewal. And then we talked about the LCAP and SIPS federal requirements. So if you are looking at the LCAP from a charter perspective, someone ought to be looking at those federal requirements if those charters are using the SIPSA as a, using the LCAP as a SIPSA, because it may have implications on FPM and other things down the road. We ended on charter authorization in AI, and Indra shared, I think, some ideas about how AI can be used to support charter authorizing, whether it's petition reviews, and then there are some around the state using AI for LCAP writing and review tools. And that's about it.
All right, room 4.
Good morning,
So,
everyone.
Go ahead.
Oh, Shalou, go ahead.
Go
No,
ahead, go
certainly.
ahead, Renee.
After you. No,
No,
please.
good. Okay, I'll start and then you can pick up from there. So in room 4, we had great discussion regarding, we started with, as the schools are, the authorizers are done with visiting schools and done with their preparing with the annual reports, and they're getting ready for the board presenting it to their board with the board presentation. And some of them just, we kind of have a detailed discussion on, like how some of the reports, the authorizer are presenting those reports in a board meeting to their boards, and some are just sending it as a weekly, or somehow providing that as an informational item to the board, discussing the strength and weakness or concern about the charters that they have authorized. And then we also had discussion about how those reports are being received, aside from the political, how are that being received by the board and by the general community. We also talked about, as most of us are all done with the renewals, and some of the authorizers are still working on getting those MOUs signed by the schools, since they didn't have it built into their petition or didn't have it signed before. So they are struggling to get those MOU terms agreed upon, and having some, again, going back and forth and having those MOUs signed by the schools that they have authorized. Also, again, then we had some discussion regarding which Alvarado shared, and I was not aware about that, about the state auditor report that just got out yesterday. So Renee, I'll let you pick up from there, anything that I missed.
No, thank you so much. You did fantastic. And I think the other highlight that was brought up by one of our colleagues is just, and post our CCAP, is just how important it is to communicate with our charter schools, and hoping that along the way, right through our communication, they are also responding back to us in an accurately and timely way, and to keep those records both within the instructional and the fiscal side of the house.
Great, thank you, room 4. All right, last but not least, our non-authorized partners, room 5.
Okay, let me start, and others can join in. We also had a conversation about DASH and possible changes and all of that. We did hear that, as it was already mentioned, that it's an issue up before the state board. We also got a hint that maybe after the board has an opportunity to act, we can get an update through Cassie as an upcoming chat to in fact have that coming for us, which will be good. And there was some conversation about something some people may not be tracking, but with the federal changes, a number of our charters use Job Corps as an opportunity to serve the students, and that one is in fact under significant challenge. And so we talked a little bit about that. We also talked about the Highland Charter School audit report. There was a bit of conversation there. Just reiterate what others said. Read it. Be aware of what's going on there and its potential impact. There was a conversation about how up and down the state, there's some collection of short videos about the impact on parents and families of potential cuts, especially in our non-classroom environment, that are being discussed in Sacramento. And then there was a question about our materials from the CCAP conference, going to be available to all or only to participants. I wanted to make clear that Cassie materials for our boot camp are clearly available, and that's just the ongoing piece. But we will get back to people. I will defer to Tom on that further question. And we did have one new colleague, Michael, who was getting into the idea, okay, his renewal's coming up. He hasn't figured out, he's just learning about what the process is and got a lot of good advice from colleagues in the room of where to go, whether it be the department, Cassie, as well as a bunch of other resources that are out there, such as CSDC, CCSA, and such. Anything else, colleagues, that I missed? Back to you, Michelle.
Awesome, thank you. So Dave, I will share that we've already had confirmation that Amard will be joining us at the August Charter Chat to
Great.
talk about what happens with the upcoming stuff from from the July State Board. So make sure you stop in at the August Charter Chat.
And I want to share that Melanie Bayer at 10:44 put in the chat the link to the White Young Mini Corps legislative briefing that's happening on Friday.
Great.
Awesome. All right, next slide, please. So upcoming information. We have the July Charter Chat coming up on June 30th. And we also love feedback. Please, okay, this is what Tom keeps going. He's going to channel his inner Michelle. We live on feedback, and we also make sure that this is how we get to keep going with our program. And so please, if you take the time to fill out this survey so that we can make sure that we have information to share with the state so that we can continue Cassie. All right. So upcoming Cassie events, we have the Charter Chat at the end of July. I already told you about that one. We do have setting up for success. That'll be July 17th, 2025 from 9 to 11 a.m. The registration link is now in the chat. Please make sure that you come to this. I don't know why the registration link. Anyway, I'll figure out what's going on with the survey. Next slide, please. Authorizing Fiscal 101, topic of your choice. Cassie can bring free training via Zoom or on-site locally to those who need additional support. We can also authorizing 101 can also be tailored to local topical priorities. We can pair it with other training for charter schools or combine with them. Please reach out to Cassie at cde.ca.gov. Next slide. And I'm going to turn this one over to Tom to talk about Cassie at CCAP.
Yeah, so we're very happy that we have for those of you who are there on Wednesday when Joe Hendricks did his kind of reveal for next year. He was joking that we had the cart before the horse a little bit because Tom hadn't signed the contract, but I can happily report the contract is signed, so we are confirmed that we will be next year convening at Paradise Point in San Diego. Same dates as this year. I mentioned before that the holiday's falling on a Friday, so that will be good for family time. You can get the conference hotel rate for the 3 days after if you want to bring family, but that also means that our hotel block is apt to fill rather quickly. We will be getting the information up on the CCAP website pretty soon so that people can, who are interested in joining us next year can do part of that. We will anticipate, of course, leading things off with another Cassie pre-conference. I apologize. I've apparently had link trouble in the chat with the CCAP evaluation link, but again, weigh in so that we can design next year's conference in accordance with whatever great suggestions you have based on this last year. Let's see, there was one other thing I was going to say. Oh, that is it for those of you who get CCAP's email alerts, and they're free to anybody. If you don't have them, let us know. We'll get you. But they're also in your inbox should be a link to the evaluation and some photos from the conference and recap and what have you. We'll probably have another one coming out soon with the latest on what's going on legislatively relative to authorizers. We've done that in past alerts, and now that the conference has passed and bills have crossed over, you can look for some information there as well.
All right. Next slide, please. So, as I said earlier, this is a bittersweet meeting. It is the last one for SCCOE, CCAP, and CDE altogether. We are now moving to our new CASI team, which will be the California Department of Education, the Santa Clara County Office of Education, our colleagues now at San Diego Unified School District and Los Angeles County Office of Education. And CCAP will be supporting. This officially starts July 1st, 2025. And so I'd like to recognize Indra Ciccarelli and Deidre Walsh, who are the leads for LACO and for San Diego. And I would dearly love to say thank you to Dave, Tom, Mifala, Shalou, Cynthia, Matt, and Allison for this amazing team that has been working together to basically share the information that we have for CASI. So it is now 11:02. I apologize that we've gone just a couple of minutes over, but I wanted to say thank you to everybody. So.
Yeah.
And thank you. If you have any questions, please contact us at cassie@cde.ca.gov.